TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Hamas has officially lost control over Gaza City as the IDF essentially controls the center and northern regions of the Palestinian enclave. The IDF enters into Shifa Hospital, under which the Hamas Command and Control is known to be located. The Yemenite Iranian-proxy Ansar-Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi Tribe, announced its intention to target Israeli shipping throughout the Red Sea. Israel reasserts that it has essentially gained control in the entire central and northern Gaza Strip, including in Gaza City. Amid ongoing operational activity on the ground, from the air and the sea, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant emphasized that Hamas is clearly losing control.
You've seen the
Golani Brigade soldiers sitting in Gaza's parliament. This is of great importance. I can say to you that in the north of the Gaza Strip, Hamas has lost control, and in fact, we are in control in the entire central theater of the Gaza Strip in the north of the Strip and in particular in Gaza City.
Jerusalem's top defense official went on to highlight that Israel will not cease its offensive activities until every Israeli hostage is rescued, emphasizing further that Israel does not have moral grounds to stop fighting while infants, women, and elderly remain in captivity.
I've met with the families of the hostages and listened to them. The stories are heartbreaking. About children, about women, about parents, and also about elderly parents, some from the elderly and some from their children. And I think about those same people from earlier generations, Holocaust survivors, who, in their days, established the towns of southern Israel and are now experiencing a second Holocaust. And I say to us all, what moral right do we have to halt this war knowing that these people are captive in the hands of the human animals of Hamas?
Defense Minister Gallant went on to once again underscore the main goals which Jerusalem's war cabinet have set for the war against Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Gaza Strip and beyond.
We are committed to two goals and two goals only. First, to defeat Hamas, to eliminate its infrastructure, its government, and its military. Second, to return the hostages. When I pressed to begin operations in the first weeks, one of the primary reasons was to ramp up pressure on Hamas. Amplifying pressure on Hamas is what raised the possibility of returning the hostages. If we sat on the fence, these issues would remain unresolved for years. This way, chances are improving. I hope they will turn out for the best.
Despite the prolonged period of fighting vis-à-vis Hamas and terror proxies of the Islamic Republic of Iran in additional theaters, Minister Gallant stressed that the war will persist for many months ahead and underscored further that it is not confined to the Gaza Strip alone.
We are talking about long months, not a day or two. It includes the north and the south. We will hit Hamas everywhere it's found. We will break its command structure, the terrorists at its head. Dozens have already been hit. This has affected them negatively. Hamas is being worn down. This is true today, first of all, in the north of the Gaza Strip, and it will continue and proceed everywhere they are.
It is important to highlight that there are daily attacks by the Lebanese Iranian-proxy Hezbollah toward IDF positions and civilian communities along the Israeli border region. And while the IDF retaliates in force for every hostile violation of Israeli sovereignty, tens of thousands of Israeli residents of the northern border region have been internally displaced to separate locations across central Israel, refusing to return unless Jerusalem deals with Hezbollah in a similar manner as it is currently dealing with Hamas. Consequently, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held an extensive meeting with chairpersons and mayors of northern communities and towns, during which he pledged to restore security to all of Israel's borders.
I am here after an excellent, in-depth, serious and focused meeting with Northern Council heads, here in the community of Regba. There is steadfast resilience here, theirs and their residents, which are enduring difficult days, but they are enduring it together. I must say that this resilience is an integral part of our effort to achieve the objectives of the war. We have an orderly plan. First of all, our goal is the absolute victory over Hamas in the south and the return of our hostages. Second, of course, is to ensure that Hamas, or anything like it, does not return on the day after. We will ensure this as well. Third, and no less important, is to deal with the northern front here. On the northern front, there are currently exchanges of severe blows. We are striking Hezbollah, but my directive to the IDF is to prepare for any scenario. I suggest that Hezbollah not try the state of Israel. It will be the mistake of its life. We are committed to restoring security to the citizens of Israel in both the south and the north. This is what we will do. I thank you, dear friends, for your fantastic resilience.
It is important to know that while Israel repeatedly highlights its preparedness to face any escalation on its northern front, among other Iran-dominated sectors, the IDF's chief focus remains in the terror-plagued Gaza Strip, where Israeli forces have entered into Shifa Hospital, under which Hamas maintains its command and control facilities, among others.
Based on intelligence information and an operational necessity, IDF forces are carrying out a precise and targeted operation against Hamas in a specified area in the Shifa Hospital. The IDF is conducting a ground operation in Gaza to defeat Hamas and rescue our hostages. Israel is at war with Hamas, not with the civilians in Gaza. The IDF forces include medical teams and Arabic speakers who have undergone specified training to prepare for this complex and sensitive environment, with the intent that no harm is caused to the civilians being used by Hamas as human shields. In recent weeks, the IDF has publicly warned time and again that Hamas's continued military use of Shifa Hospital jeopardizes its protected status under the international law. We also gave ample time to stop this unlawful abuse of the hospital. The IDF has also facilitated wide-scale evacuation of the hospital and maintained regular dialogue with hospital authorities.
Meanwhile, in Washington, despite repeated statements about the need to avoid firefights within hospitals in Gaza, the State Department ascertained in unequivocal terms that Hamas methodically utilizes hospitals and other medical facilities and civilian infrastructure to shield itself from direct confrontations with Israeli forces.
Hamas has used hospitals as command centers and has buried its tunnels under command centers. And I want to say something about hospitals that number one, we want hospitals to be protected. We don't want to see any civilians, and certainly not babies in incubators or other vulnerable populations caught in a crossfire. We want Hamas to stop using hospitals as a command post. That would be the easiest way to solve this problem, if they would stop using the civilians that are in hospitals as humanitarian shields. But then I would also say that we want there to be safe evacuation for patients at hospitals so they can get out of harm's way. We would support an independent third party or respected third party to conduct those evacuations. We know the government of Israel would support such a step as well. They have said that they would support such a step. The question is, will Hamas allow patients to be evacuated from hospitals, or will they continue to use them as human shields? We think an appropriate step would be to support those evacuations so babies and other vulnerable populations are not in harm's way.
The State Department spokesman went on to reject claims by a Palestinian reporter who baselessly insisted that Israel did not conduct any pauses for humanitarian purposes.
There are pauses that are taking place. So this is something the Secretary pushed for when we were in Israel. He had very direct conversations with the Prime Minister about it. You saw him come out and talk about those conversations afterwards. And then over the week, 10 days after we left Israel, you saw Israel begin to implement pauses. And every day they announced pauses in areas to allow the evacuation of civilians along humanitarian corridors. We've said before, we think the pauses ought to be longer. We will continue to engage in conversations about that with the government of Israel.
With regard to prospects of wider escalation, Matthew Miller asserted that in the event of wider escalation, the United States would be prepared to take action.
With respect to Hezbollah, I won't speak for what actions Iran has taken. I will speak for the United States, and we have sent very loud and clear messages that we think that any party hostile to Israel should not enter this conflict. We have sent public messages to that effect. You've seen the president speak to it, and we have sent private messages to that effect, and we hope that they will be received, and if they're not, we will be prepared to take action.
It is important to know that while Iran's proxies along Israel's northern front are evidently contained, the Yemenite Iranian-proxy Ansar-Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi Tribe, released separate statements pledging to target Israeli shipping in the Red Sea.
The armed forces, as part of their military operations against the Israeli enemy, confirmed the initiation of taking all practical measures to implement the directives given regarding the appropriate handling of any Israeli ship in the Red Sea. The armed forces will not hesitate to target any Israeli ship in the Red Sea or any location that falls within our reach, starting from the moment this statement is announced. Allah is our witness to what we say. The military operations of the Yemeni armed forces against the Israeli enemy will not cease until the Israeli aggression against our brave brothers in Gaza stops.
Prior to the announcement, the Houthi spokesman also insisted that Ansar-Allah had launched a batch of ballistic missiles and drones at Israel's southern city of Eilat. However, IDF sources confirmed to TV7 that only 2 missiles were launched by the Iranian proxy toward Israel, both of which were successfully intercepted by the Arrow system. In tandem, CENTCOM sources also confirmed to TV7 that U.S. forces intercepted a number of one-way aerial systems over the Red Sea. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I'd like to keep encouraging you. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our daily updates and would like to help us bear the cost for these productions, since TV7 Israel is 100% donation-based, please consider making a donation. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.